Loyalty is a precious commodity. Once loyalty is lost, it is often hard to regain it back. Loyalty can come in many forms: loyal to a spouse or a friend, even loyal to your country. But who decides where your loyalties lie during a war? Are you loyal to the country that gave you the option to start a colony, or to the country that you have found freedoms and brethren? Let's take a moment and decipher between loyalists and patriots. Loyalists opposed independence. They were loyal to King George III. They were usually our judges, our governors, or the wealthy. Many loyalists wanted to avoid being punished as rebels. Some Native Americans viewed colonists as hostile, and Native Americans or African Americans promised freedoms from slavery if they fought for the British. Now, our patriots were supporters of independence, individuals who saw political and economic advantages of an independent America. African Americans were also on this side. Many supported the patriot cause as well. In 1775, the royal governor of Virginia, the Earl of Dunmore, issued a proclamation in which he offered freedom to enslaved people who would support and fight for the British. About 1 to 2,000 black Virginians fled to the British side. The clip we are about to watch is from the movie The Patriot. It showed that African Americans who were enslaved also chose to fight among the patriots as well.
It's October now.
I know.
It's more than 12 months. You're a free man.
I'm here now on my own accord.
I'm honored to have you with us. Honored.
Loyalists made up about 1/6 of the colonists. It's about a third. 1/3 were patriots, and the other third were just remained neutral. Loyalists were treated really bad by the hands of the patriots. As you can see here, they were tarred and feathered as a form of public humiliation. Also, their property was seized or destroyed. They were regularly harassed, and they also had personal attacks brought on them. Someone like Thomas Hutchinson, who was a leading Boston merchant from the old American family. He served as the governor of Massachusetts. He was viewed as pro-British by some of citizens of Boston. His house was burned in 1765 by an angry crowd protesting the Crown's policies. In 1774, Hutchinson left America for London, where he died in 1780. And he always felt that he was exiled from his American homeland. In Alexander Fick's article, United Empire Loyalists, Mr. Fick states that after First Continental Congress in 1774 is when Tories began to use the term loyalist. He goes on to say the Loyalists advised Great Britain to avoid sending any military, including ground troops and the Navy, to coerce the colonists. They even recommended to remove military forces already in the colonies and suspend the measures that caused trouble, such as the Stamp Act and the Tea Act. They even went as far to advise that the Crown and Parliament should recognize the principle of self-taxation and the institution of an annual colonial congress, who the Crown would be able to veto any acts that were not agreeable. Of course, as we know, the Crown's answer to the Loyalist suggestions were the battles of Lexington and Bunker Hill. Also, according to Fick, deciding to become a Loyalist happened when the Declaration of Independence was decided. This was worse than death to the Tories. They now had to decide which side to take, either to remain a British subject, becoming a traitor to America, or declare oneself a citizen of the newborn nation and hence a traitor to the Crown. No middle ground, no compromise. In Maya Jasnoff's article, The Other Side of the Revolution, Loyalists in the British Empire, she explains how Loyalists had to fight among families using William and Benjamin Franklin as an example. William was the son of Benjamin Franklin, whom we all know as one of our founding fathers and a patriot. William, however, did not follow in his father's shoes. William was the Loyalist governor of New Jersey. After the end of the war, Loyalists needed to find a place to find refuge. Most set out and resettled in parts of Canada. Ontario has a rich history of American Loyalists. Dr. James Talman, who is the chief librarian at the University of Western Ontario, says in his speech, "Ontario, a product of the American Revolution, that the Loyalists fleeing the Revolution brought to Canada a tradition of freehold tenure of land, English law, and representative legislative institutions. The Loyalists had some issues with the laws already in place by the French. They were not willing to surrender the political privileges they had gained before the Revolution, such as the collection of tithes by the Roman Catholic Church. Most of the Loyalists who did not flee home to Great Britain or Canada fled to other British holdings like the Caribbean. Charlene Cozy is professor of history and political science at Cumberland University. In Miss Cozy's article, she explains how the Loyalists in the South didn't have a refuge after the war. In 1783, Southern Loyalists thought they had found a refuge in East Florida, but in December of the same year, Great Britain had ceded East Florida to Spain. The British Prime Minister, Lord North, had outlined plans for, quote, those unfortunate people, unquote. The government moved these people to the Bahamas and the West Indies because, 1, climate was similar to the southern colonies, and 2, sparsely populated. Lord North stated that land would be given to the Loyalists in proportion to their former possessions. Miss Cozy further explains how the Loyalists made themselves at home in the Caribbean, especially the islands of Turks and Caicos. They specialized in plantation crops such as cotton. While the Loyalists may not have had the best treatment before, during, and after the American Revolution, they did settle into a life and become prosperous again.